All right, there we go. All right, so we're live. I'm Barry Reynolds, and who are you, sir? And what do you do in the hobby?
My name is Rob Oren. I have a YouTube channel in which I do reviews. We do a lot of humanitarian work, charity work through gaming, and basically just build a community around board gaming.
Cool. So, excuse me. So, what got you started in modern board games or miniature gaming?
Well, this goes back quite a way. I mean, I don't know how old you are or anything like that, but I'm back in the old days, the 70s and 60s, and with the old Avalon Hill games and the Milton Bradley games. But I had seen a game called 1776. It probably was about 76, and we played that thing to no end. And it had these little miniatures on it. I mean, it was just this game that we would play over and over again. That and another game called Carrier Strike. And from there, I was just hooked. That's all I wanted to do was get bookcase games. And then, with my age, I kind of grew into the Dungeons and Dragons and all that kind of stuff. I was just there at that right age, and it just caught my imagination. And I just never looked back. As the hobby grew, so did I, through the highs, the lows.
Right.
And now, what a lot of people are considering the golden age.
Yeah, I've heard that term used a lot. We're getting bombarded month after month with so many games, and I'm afraid that it's going to collapse.
Well, I believe this wholeheartedly. Okay, this thing's going to crash hard. I lived through the video game age where the hottest thing in the world was the Atari. And then the Nintendo came, and then all of a sudden you had that lull where everything kind of went down, and then all of a sudden you came out with this the original PlayStation, and then the other Nintendo. But then you ran into the biggest problem that you ever could, was a big company decided to buy all the little companies. So all the imagination ran out of everything. So what do you got now? You got Call of Duty 54. You know why this hobby is as popular as it is now? Because you can play Call of Duty for about an hour and a half and go, okay, I've done that. Now people are looking to other extensions, whether it's tablets, board gaming, anything that kind of suck them into something that'll hold their attention.
All right.
And now you're at a point where you got so many developers that are making so many games and using the same mechanic. Oh, well, I've seen this game, only this is a deck builder that all they did was change the thing. It's the same thing as a first-person shooter. You run into both sides of the spectrum, and eventually everybody's going to go, okay, well, I've done this, and these are my core games, and that's it. And it's going to hurt, and it's going to hurt bad, because then you're going to have to hold people to a higher quality. Just like video games today, not many of them really make it because everything's held to a higher quality, and even then you get people complaining about it.
Yeah,
and I think you're going to run into the same thing with board gaming. You're not going to have the advantages of all this Kickstarter, because look what Kickstarter's doing. I did a recent review on a game called Alien vs. Predator, the hunt. I got it right over here. The Hunt Begins, or something like that. Okay, Great game. Reminds me a lot of Space Hulk. It's everything that Space Hulk should have been. That isn't. But here's the thing. I was able to get it retail. The backers didn't even get theirs yet. I went on the cool stuff, got it, and you got backers going, how did you get it? Wait a minute, I put my money out about 2 years ago. And you hear more and more of this. Another game I did recently, Dungeon Saga, where I tore them up and down because of the figures, and they made it so confusing. It comes out, and people still haven't gotten it. It puts a bad taste in their mouth. And now Mantic is pushing this Walking Dead thing. They just came out with Walking Dead all out war. Okay, I hear from a lot of people, and all I hear is, you know something? They got me once. They're not going to get me again. And you're finding that more and more and more. And it's a shame because the people that legitimately do well with Kickstarters and fulfill things are good, because 50% are, oh, there's always something going wrong. I've yet to back a Kickstarter, by the way.
Yeah, I've done a couple. Early on, when I first got Navi, I got bit by a couple just because the game didn't hold up to what they were saying it was. It was bad mechanics or a bad rulebook or whatever. Recently, I've done a few. I just did a Nemo's War, and stuff like that. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Even the cool stuff. I'm not cool stuff. Cool minis are not stuff that people die over and swear is the great, some of the greatest games ever. Well, they had the big one with Blood Rage, home run. But now you got Besieged, which is getting horrible reviews. Ninja All Stars is getting horrible reviews. Okay, and eventually, here you go, like one of your main Kickstarter players. Uh-oh. I mean, it's as simple as that. Uh-oh. Here we go. And we've seen it too many times.
Yeah, we have. And it's the same on the traditional bubblers for Root. There's for every hit you got 7, 8 misses.
Yeah, and eventually people are going to get tired of it, and they're going to do like everybody else and say, okay, listen, I'm not going to fund this game, but I'll wait to see what comes out retail. And now that you have Asmodee doing this whole merger thing, which who knows what that's going to mean, or if it's going to mean anything at all. But didn't we see that with other companies? Like Electronic Arts, like I said earlier, when they started buying up all those smaller software companies. Do you start to lose quality? Do you start to lose imagination? I mean, there's one guy, John, I think you interviewed him, John Root.
John who?
Root, WROOT.
Oh, John Rott.
John Rott. I'm horrible with names. He made a great game that got completely overlooked, and I love this game. And the game's King's Armory.
Right.
Fantastic game. Got overlooked. Small guys like that are really going to take a beating. They're really going to get hurt. If this trend continues where people cannot, well, I promise you October 2015 or 16, and then you're looking September 17, Oh, well, it was the shipping. Oh, it was this. You've got to come up with a game plan. And if you're going to put it on Kickstarter, you better be close. Because I'm telling you, the more and more I hear, especially from the community that I built, is, I try to listen to everybody and take a pulse of what everybody's saying and really get involved and make it one big community. The more I hear, the more rumbling I hear is they've just about had it. Money's not that easy to come by these days. Some of us are very blessed where we can go get our games and this, that, and the other and don't have to worry about it. But, you got that guy out there that, okay, well, I got 3 little kids. I got a wife. I got a mortgage. I got 2 cars. Okay. There's 15 games out there. I can pick 3.
Right.
Is he going to really take and basically put his money out there and go, oh, well, this looks great, but no, he's gonna make sure, and he's gonna investigate, and he's gonna make that he gets what he needs. The game, he's gonna check every angle, and that's part of our responsibility too, as YouTubers, not to so much to, a lot of guys will say, yeah, I think this is the greatest game in the world because they got the game for free or it's a friend or something like that. We need people that are going to have integrity and be able to look at the camera in the eye and go, boy, as much as I want to like this, it ain't there for me. Because you're talking to that guy that has, can only get 3 games. And he's going to appreciate you. Hey, listen, this may not be your thing, but this is what I don't like about it. And this is what I do like about it. Well, maybe you can overlook those things. Honesty never hurt anybody. True. Sometimes it's a bitter truth.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I do like your channel. Like I was saying earlier, you're brutally honest at times, and you don't really get that in the media so much. And I understand why. Like with me, it takes 10 hours roughly for every hour of video that goes up, and I'm not going to waste that time on a game I hate. you know.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people like that, but there's very few reviewers out there who will give a flat out negative review on something. Yeah.
I think the biggest problem, especially with a lot of them, and again, this is, my thoughts, not yours. We'll make that perfectly clear when this airs, right? When it goes up, is that it's hard when you start to get some. This is power. I don't care how you spin it, how you say it. Okay, there's something about a channel, and when you get people to push that subscriber button, okay, a lot of people, they feel they're bigger than the channel. And that happens a lot. And they lose touch with the people that have subscribed. They start a concept and they work really hard. And then all of a sudden they start to see success. Well, success goes to your head a lot of times. It's law of nature. It's the guy that can stay grounded and stay in touch with his community that he has built. Because each channel is its own community. Now, a lot of people may belong to a lot of different communities, but I think the most important thing is to be honest and to show them, something real. It's the most reality TV that you're ever going to get. And one of the things that I think a lot of people tend to enjoy about my channel is I'll do a playthrough with my kids once a week. Okay, and it's not this, hey, great die. It's, I can't stand you. I'm going to beat you. I don't care how I do it. You cheated. No, you put a card, because that's how real games go. All I'm doing is putting a camera to it and just letting them kill each other. and it because we love each other the minute the game's put away. But during that game, it's all cost, all out. And this last Saturday we did a 4.5-hour talisman thing, where I don't know how some people sat all the way through that thing, because that's a monster. I don't know how I sit through it with them. So many highs and lows. Who's getting aggravated at who? But the ending, the payoff. You got 4.5 hours of just a family, just playing games and being as real as they can be. And the only difference is there's a camera on it.
Yeah, it's true.
People appreciate that to some degree.
Yeah, I look at those live games like they're the geeks' version of a sport. Some people watch baseball or basketball or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Geeks tend to watch, the live gameplays or the 24-hour marathons or whatever it may be.
I don't know how I survived one of those 24 hours.
Yeah, I'm sure it was rough. I'm sure it was rough. So, what age did you get your children involved in gaming? Were they like real young, or?
Well, I've always been pretty good at painting. I'm not a great painter or anything like that, and I always had this thing for fantasy, and so I saw Warhammer Fantasy, and they were very, very young, and the back room. Now, I was up in Connecticut back then. Downstairs, I had my own little room, all frozen off where the heater was. I remember that. We had the heating unit there. And I built this elaborate table and so forth and so on. And I would sit out there and paint or line things up and figure things out. And all you hear is the pitter patter of little feet coming. And I go, okay, you can sit on my lap while I'm doing. My son especially, he was 5 or 6, maybe even 7. I won't give him an age. But the kid's brilliant. And he took to it the minute, the minute he saw me playing around with it, he wanted to know everything about it. And he would take the manuals and read them from cover to cover, to the point where when I would go downstairs, like, okay, I'll go easy on him, just to let him, No, he had a plan in his head. He read about stats and this, that, and the other. Now, of course, it'd be very blinded where he would just find this one ability and try to find a way to use it.
Right.
But he would sit there and just absorb it. And then, of course, when my son starts, then, of course, the girls see it. They got involved. And then before you know it, they're all just sitting there and trying to learn everything. They're playing Magic, Pokemon. You know, it just went on and on. And they just never stopped. And one thing I never did was let them win either. Now they beat me all the time.
So, how did your channel come about?
Pardon me?
How did the channel come about?
It was a funny thing. I signed on to YouTube just to watch videos like everybody else. Well, I had gone to the first Dice Tower Con, and Tom had just lost his son and wanted to do something special. So X-Wing had just came out, and I came up with the idea to build a 4.5-foot Death Star, 4x4. I molded my own tiles, painted the whole thing, and I started taping it. The construction of the whole thing. The thing took me 4 days. I casted 396 tiles, glued them, painted them, and I would tape each step of building Death Star. And I go, wow, this is fun. And I would post up the pictures. Now, of course, nobody saw it. And I was so excited. And I told a couple friends, and I had 10 subscribers. Thought it was the greatest day of my life. Well, then I started painting something else, and I took the iPad out and started filming that. And I go, you know, this is a lot of fun. Then I flipped the camera around, started talking a little bit. Of course, I was all over the place. You know, I had no idea what I was doing. But I kind of just grew into it and kept on putting videos up, you know, maybe once a week, twice a week. And all of a sudden I had 50 subscribers. And then 100, you know, 100, you know, I thought was impossible to have. And then all of a sudden, you know, you just start talking to people and people start following you. And then, you know, I start coming up with ideas and different things to do and how to promote charities. And we do a lot of things for Make-A-Wish. Like tonight, we just had a drawing with the box of goodness. Everybody's name got thrown in there, and cool stuff. I have a lot of friends there helped me out with the gift certificates, and we gave away gift certificates to raise money for Make-A-Wish. And then I would just get the thing that really kept me, really focused me, and really made me want to go that extra mile is I made my personal email very available to everybody, because I think you should be able to. I didn't want any separation between me and the channel, and I find that a lot of guys do that. It's like, well, here's all my content. You can comment, and they don't feel they're a part of the channel, but they don't feel a part of the channel. I mean, this channel was mostly about my subscribers. That's the idea I came up with. I want to make it about the people, and I want everybody to know each other, and I want us all to work towards just one cause. One, to enjoy ourselves, to put enough content on the channel that people will, you know, life's tough, okay? It's very, very hard out there, okay? Especially nowadays. I wanted to be able to have content on there that they would just forget about their lives a little bit if they were having problems, or just share something with their kids. So I started, let me start painting lessons. And I've gotten so many beautiful letters from people just saying how, you know, we saw your videos and I decided to try this with my son and this, that, and the other. Because even in that aspect of the hobby here, or you a lot of guys that want to show you their talent. They don't want to teach you their talent. And I'm not a great painter, but the thing is that anybody can paint. Anybody can color their world. All you have to do is pick up a brush. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful experience if you enjoy it. And that's the way I've tried to teach it. And it's worked very, very, very well. And a lot of the people that we helped, a lot of the people that we have moved, and brought people together. It's you know, it's everything I could ever ask for, and that's, in a nutshell. I know I'm a little bit all over the place, but that's kind of how this channel just kept on growing, and it's become so many different things, and it's just been wonderful. It's been a great experience, and it's something I enjoy. And I'm sorry if I'm rambling. Just tell me to shut up. The one thing that I also really got to people is there's not a button on my thing that says donate. Okay, I've always gone out and I bought all my own equipment. You know, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to make videos, I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to make sure that I give you the best content, because it's my job to give you the best content for you to be a part of my channel. Okay, you're part of this community, and I really truly believe that by doing that, it's a real investment. It's not, hey, I painted this figure. If you want to see me paint more, go to my Patron or whatever the heck they call it, or my Kickstarter that I'm raising that money to support my channel. Wait a minute. All you need is a web camera, your computer that everybody has, and you can make as much as you want, content as you want. Now, I've gone and I found some discount lighting. No, I don't have the best equipment in the world, but you know something? I'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, it is a process. I know what you're talking about. So how did you get your family involved with the channel? Is it something they wanted to do, or something you bugged them to do until they gave in?
No, they my one daughter, Victoria, she's a little camera shy, but she's come out of that. As a matter of fact, she does Q&A with me every Wednesday. And as I just said, listen, I'm going to let this camera on, because before I used to just tape it. And then I said, well, now that we got better stuff, let's go live, so we can get some real interaction, and then people can feel like they're part of the game. And that's one of the things that I've tried to do, is try to make them in every aspect of the channel, make the people that subscribe to my channel a part of every single thing I do. I'll do my paint throughs when I'm painting something. I paint a lot for charity. I do a lot for charity. When I'm painting, I'll sit there, and it's almost like they're in the same room, because I'll be talking to them, or maybe the questions will come up. And it just got to a point where it just became so natural that they just forget the camera's there, and they just do it, and they're real good with it. Now, my wife, that's a whole different thing. She doesn't like to be in the camera. She was in front of the camera once, and that was just sneak her head in like that, and then they, because everybody wondered where, you know, if I even had a wife. But she made her appearance, and everybody got a kick out of it. But the girls, today I had my other girl, and I couldn't shut her up. She talked more than I did. I said, geez, maybe I should just give you the thing. But it's getting to the point where, you know, they're very big cosplayers. They go to a lot of different conventions, and that's another thing that I try to let everybody in. You know, we've had a lot of personal tragedy happen over the last couple of years. We had this beautiful German Shepherd. We never had a dog in our life, and we went up to a flea market, and this woman, my wife always wanted a German Shepherd, so we had gotten a little girl named Sophia. She was small, and she was just way too small, and we didn't know anything about dogs, so we loved that dog up. And unfortunately, I guess she just was one of those backyard breeder puppies, and we didn't know.
Yeah.
And just one day she just passed away and just killed our family. But everybody knew about our dog, because I would take video and put up the dog. And you know, it was anything that was in my life, I kind of almost leave as an open book, you know, to make everybody just feel part of it. You know, like a lot of the guys that or ladies that come on the channel or chats and stuff like that, you know, they're surprised at how much I remember that they tell me about their lives. Or if somebody writes me, you know, you absorb everything, because it does touch you, it does move you, you know, to have this kind of response, that people look at you and just say some of the things that they say to you. Of course, then again, you do have some of those people that write those trolls. I guess that's what they call them. Oh, they're fun. They're
Yeah.
fun too. A lot
How
of them
do
are
you?
always at. Oh, go ahead.
Good.
I said a lot of them are always asking, when am I going to get a shirt that fits? That's the big one.
I was curious to how you handle it. I get a few, and if they leave a comment on the YouTube, unless I think it's really disrespectful or tasteless, I'll leave it up there. You know, because everybody's got their opinion. I've only took down a couple comments. One was some racial nonsense and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But how do you handle them?
Usually I look at it and, sometimes they'll try to be funny, but try to get their point across. And I'll answer them seriously. You know something? You have a little validity here. Like somebody said something about how I had reviewed something and that, I forgot how it went. But he was trying to be funny, but some of it made sense. And I go, you know something? Part of this thing that you said makes sense and is very valid. And here's what I'm going to do to change that.
Right.
And do you realize he's like one of my best subscribers now? It's just a lot of time if you just answer, and if you don't feed into it, it's like anything else. If you ignore it, they feel they have some kind of power, some kind of reign. Hey, one guy had written, hey, are you ever going to get a shirt that fits? That's a big one. I go, well, as soon as they stop having a sale at Baby Gap, I'll say something like that. I'll give it right back to them, to some degree. Now, I've never ran into that person that's been hateful or anything like that. I'm very lucky in the fact that the community, when somebody comes into it, that they're looking for something. They're looking to belong to something. And I think that's what makes my channel a little bit unique, is a lot of people are looking to belong to something that they can feel good about, something they can grasp onto. And that's what I think we as a family, we as a community, I mean, the people from Australia, Switzerland, I can name a ton of them that just really, really just, we bond together and talk about different things and help each other. And then, when they talk to me privately, I get a lot of email privately and I answer everything. It's hard at times. I mean, there's times I'm sitting at the table for a good hour and a half, but I owe it to them. I owe it to that person that has that girl with cerebral palsy that wants to tell me their story and how I've helped them, face life and just bring some enjoyment, and how much just the little things I do make a difference, and how much it moves them and the struggles that they go through, to take the time to just try to get to know everybody, to talk to everybody, to touch everybody, and make them feel that they're a big, it's one big family. And, anybody can say that, but I really believe it in my heart that that's what my channel is. Humanity's heroes. That's why I call them all, because we all work together for one good cause. I mean, we're always trying to help make a wish. The Jack Vassal Foundation, which is the Dice Towers Foundation. Wounded Warriors, we've helped. We've done a lot of great work. And this year, I'm hoping to do about $20,000 in help to those foundations. We'll see how we do.
That's real honorable. I was actually hit on that a little bit. I do some charity stuff, but it's I don't like to do it publicly. I don't know why that is, but I just feel like I'm a douche or something, saying, "Hey, I'm doing all this," or it's something with me. But how do you feel about that?
There's a lot of things that I do for people that are not public. People have written me, and I've done certain things. Those things are going to stay private. I think the one thing that we built at the channel is that we all try as a community to help whoever's in need. So I do rally the troops, and I will make it public. Now, a lot of things I try to get support to do that. Hey, I'm going to have this auction. I'm going to paint Arcadia Quest, let's just say, and I'm going to put it up, and it's going to go to the highest bidder. I make that very public, and the highest bidder, I'll take that money, and that's where it'll go. It'll go right to those charities. Mm-hmm. So that's more the public aspect of what I'll do, is that I'll give the community something, but whatever you guys do, donate it to charity. So it's not for me, it's to raise money for the charities. Unfortunately, you got to be Jerry Lewis every once in a while.
Yeah. So how did you get involved with the Dice Tower? How did you become a contributor to them?
I had always, it kind of started, and this is going to be a bit of a story, so I'll try to make it as quick as possible. I had gone to the first Dice Tower convention. Now, I don't care what anybody says, okay? When people see someone, perception is their reality. Okay, so here comes this big athletic, invading their turf. Okay, now little do you know that, I was always a jock, always a big guy, weightlifter, bodybuilder, so forth and so on, athlete. But I never hung with those guys. I was always with, as you called them, geeks. I never liked to call them that. I always found somewhat insulting, but those were the people that I related to, because I loved their intelligence. I loved how they taught me all these things about games, crunching numbers, things like that. Those were the things that I liked to stimulate my mind as much as I did my body. And those were always the kind of people that I liked to be around. Well, I go to this convention, and of course you get that look like, okay, what do you want? Are you going to be that guy that I knew from high school that's going to pick on me or give me a hard time? The old, the pages inside the book are usually what you think they are, not what the cover really says in some ways. But I was walking around, I couldn't find a game or anything. And then Tom had grabbed me and said, hey, you want to play Cosmic Encounter? I go, oh, wow. Somebody actually, the guy that's this whole thing's about just grabbed me and pulled me into a game. Well, we got to talking and so forth and so on. And I never forgot that. And from that point on, I heard about Jack's Foundation. So every year I would do something for the auction at the Dice Tower. Well, he got to know me a little bit, and I got to be known as the guy that paints miniatures. Well, one day on his channel, I noticed that there's a lack of miniature painting, or anybody that covers that that style of game, miniatures or really cover the aspect. Now that games are kind of coming together, board games and miniatures are coming together a lot. So I said, hey, how about are you ever going to do a painting channel? He goes, well, if you want to do one, send me a submission. So I did. I started on Board Game Breakfast, and then Sam had seen my Board Game Breakfast and decided that because he had gotten some Warhammer stuff to do it, and I was working to do that. And I went to Sam and I go, Sam, we're kind of butting heads here. I go, if you're going to do a painting thing that kind of takes away from my painting thing, I go, I got a great idea. Why don't we take a game, you do half, I'll do half. We'll put the two halves together and call it a segment, and then once a month we'll get together, play the game, and then sell the game for charity. And then that's how Battling Brushes. And then as I started to get to know the guys, it worked into 24-hour marathons. Now I'm doing reviews for them, and it continues to grow. So that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool.
They are really good guys. I mean, the guys that you see, they get a lot of hate, and I don't know why, because they think everybody, they're a popular channel. 116,000 subscribers. Guess what? You're going to get some people that think you're phony baloney. But when I went in there, I'll tell you, they're no different than what you see on camera. The same guys, good guys, every single one of them. every single one of them. And that caught me off guard because I thought they'd be a little different. But everybody's wonderful. And it's been a great relationship.
I found that with a few people. I met a few media people in person, and they pretty much are what they are on camera. Most of them. I think people got this perception that they're just hamming it up for the camera or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, I can tell you, there's quite a few I met that, boy, I tell you. I shake my head, and it's the thing that keeps me very well grounded is going, you know something? There's people around, there's kids around, they see this, and then they see you, and you're representing something. You can't, that's what they're going to remember. Because I guess they call them YouTube personalities now. Is that what it's called now?
Yeah, I think
something like that. And because TV is so horrible, and just they ran out of every story. They're stealing from every comic book they can now. Try to come up with things or rehashing things. So now people are just looking to their hobbies, and they look to this YouTube and they go, "Wow, this is endless. I can see anything I want to see." So now they start looking to these people, and these people forget that these people look up to you. There are some of these people that really look up to you, and anything that you do that's negative is detrimental to them, and you have to take that into consideration. I'll tell you a quick story, and I'm sorry if I ramble. Just again, you want to cut me off anytime.
That's your fine. It's your dime. It's fine.
I walked into a Cool Stuff one time, and of course, Cool Stuff is a sponsor of the Dice Tower. And I was picking up something or another. Now, just going about my business, saying hi to everybody that I knew and everything like that. And I'm on my way out, and I'm putting my stuff in the car, and this pickup truck pulls up. And people come out and they double take, and they go, "You're that guy from Battling Brushes." And I'm like, yeah. yeah, I am. And I sat there and I talked to them for about 15, 20 minutes. They turned out they were a couple that were married 20 years. They were about to go on a cruise. I live in Florida, so it's right near where all the ports are. And they wanted to stop at a Cool Stuff because that's all they heard about from the Dice Tower was Cool Stuff. And they wanted to see what one looked like, and they were just so happy to see somebody from the Dice Tower. And that made me think. I go, when people see me, they don't see Rob Oren. All they go is, "Hey, there's that guy from the Dice Tower." So I have a responsibility to the Dice Tower because I'm a contributor to represent the Dice Tower. These guys that work so hard to build, I don't care what you say, it's a kingdom, conglomerate, monster of a channel. I owe it to them to give everybody I meet a positive experience, no matter how bad my day is, okay? Don't ever let it show. Be positive and represent that channel and give them the respect. They took the time to build it. If you're going to be a contributor there, be respectful. And remember that when people see it, they don't see Rob Oren. They see, "Hey, that's that guy from the Dice Tower."
Yeah, it's true. I've had people come up to me a couple times through either this channel or the Alaboom, and it was kind of awkward to me. It's that recognition, I guess. It
is awkward.
Yeah. It was cool and all, but it was kind of awkward. Yeah. It surprised me that they would come up to you like that. I know a lot of people in board game hobby that are introverts or socially awkward,
Mm-hmm.
and doing this channel actually made me realize a few things about myself. I didn't realize I was an introvert. and doing the channel made it allowed me to do things outside my normal routine.
Mm-hmm.
I would never go to a game club before I did this, or go on YouTube for that matter. So how has the channel changed your life?
Made me realize I don't shut up. My poor wife. As far as changing my life, it's given me, I found myself that you get to a certain age, I can't I can't go out and play sports as much as I like to, because at this age, it's just to a point where if you get hurt, you're going to be hurt for a long time. It's just age. That's just the way it goes. So gave that up, and then I've always had my hobbies, but now I think that having this, what it's given me is I am always so excited to get home because I've always got I'm finally being able to express the ideas that I have in my head, and I have so many different things in my head that I want to do and try to be innovative. Not so much be innovative better than everybody else. It's just there's things that I come up with in my head that I go, boy, would everybody like to see this? And it gives me focus and purpose. And my wife was even telling me today, she goes, you're very driven with this, and I'm glad this makes you happy. She goes, but sometimes you got to relax a little bit, take a day here or there, because I find myself every day coming up with something, jotting down notes, getting in front of the camera, trying something different, coming up with different ideas, running things by the kids. It's just, it's a constant thing now, and it's it's almost to the point of obsession that I enjoy it so much. It's become as much of a hobby as it is for me to paint things, and that's what I really enjoy about it. It's more enjoyment than trying to achieve numbers or status or whatever you want to call it. It's just an enjoyment. And I could say that your album thing, the Undead Vikings on there, right?
Yeah, him and Anthony Orcano from Corvo John.
Yeah, very, very. There's a guy, there's a few people I admire. I really, really deeply admire in this type of business, and he's one of them. I've never met him, never talked to him or anything like that, but a perfect example of just he's going to do what he wants to do, and that's that. And I love that. I love that. Doesn't play to everybody, doesn't play to the fans. Just he stays focused on what he wants to do. I admire that kind of thing. That's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing people want. They want you to stay true to who you are, because they'll smell you out. They'll figure you out. People are very, very smart, and you may have this many subscribers, but when people start figuring you out, all of a sudden your growth stops, and then you watch how it goes backwards.
Yeah.
It will go backwards. They'll figure you out.
All right, quarter off. I usually have these sets of questions that I ask everybody. So the first one is, what is a game that you love and everybody else seems to hate?
Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl. Blood is the first game my wife ever got me. And I get a lot of, it's a cult game. It really is a cult game. I mean, it's had many incarnations, but to get somebody, like, I talked to the Dice Tower about how much I love Blood Bowl, and they look at me as if, I just spoke Chinese to them. And a lot of people that are newer to board games go, okay, well, what is that? Well, they're coming out with another edition of it. The problem is it is the ultimate chess match, but in a sports sense. And you have got, you may have your moves, 4 moves ahead planned out. It's just that one thing, that one roll of dice will just change everything, and people hate that because it's a very long and a very hard game, and unless you get it, you're not going to like it.
Now, what about, I'm assuming you're talking about the mini game. What about the other incarnations of the Manic did one? I can't remember.
Manic did Dreadball.
Dreadball, yeah. How do you feel about those types of things?
Manic is really trying to be Games Workshop Junior in a lot of ways, and I've been very harsh to them, and I actually got a letter from their president, which He admitted that they dropped the ball on a lot of things. I like Dreadball. The problem is it's Blood Bowl light in a lot of ways, and you see it. All the mechanics are almost the same, and I want to like it, but there's nothing innovative about it. There's nothing that really stands apart that I go, okay, this is going to make me put Blood Bowl away. Okay, a game that's out of print to the game that's in print that has so many different seasons and adds so many different variants that make your head explode. I just, I have it. I like it. I don't love it.
Fair. Okay, so it's a game that you hate that everybody else seems to love.
I would have to say Caverna. Caverna. I want to like it, but it makes my head hurt if you don't play it 4 or 5 different times to really get it. And it takes 5 or 6 times to that. And a sister game, Agricola, remember that was the hottest game on the planet at one time.
Yeah.
And I sat down and I said, oh man, this is going to be great. And I went, God, I really don't like this. And everybody looked at me like, what? Oh, you just don't like Euro games. Oh, no, I do like some Euro games. And I do like, I like viticulture and things like that. There's a lot of games I like. This one, I just don't like. I don't know what it is. So I took some heat for that. But hey, to each their own, right?
Yeah, I always find that amusing. Like, at first, it'll be like, am I just not playing it right? Why do so many other people love this game? Or is it?
The scoring. I mean, I go, maybe I am the big dumb jock because I have no idea what the heck's going on here. And everybody looking at me, what? You don't get it? Oh, okay.
So, say you were stuck on a deserted island. You can only have one person with you, fictional or real. What one game would you take with you to play with that person, and who would it be?
An island, huh? It would be my wife, and I would make her play Pitch Car. Just because she hates playing games, and I would make the biggest track I could, just so I can annoy her for the rest of her life. And I know she's hearing this in the other room because I know she's watching. Because I know she would find a way to annoy me, and that'd be just a way to annoy her, to make her go around pitching a car around a giant track for for eternity.
Sound like a lot like me and Jen.
I'll tell you that woman's a saint. I mean, you look behind me. I don't have 5 games. I mean, it goes all the way down, all the way down, all the way over here. And she's built this room for me. She built this table for me. She even decorated with superhero curtains to hide all the stuff underneath it. And I'm very blessed to have her in my life, and to just let the kids and I have the freedom. I mean, my wife, she'll cook to no end during these things, during our live events and stuff like that. And, it's a Saturday night. You think kids 20, 24, and 26 would be out doing something. They'd rather be home with their parents. And I think that's very, very unusual. And I think it speaks a lot to her and just the closeness that we've built in this family.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the reasons I love the hobby. When I got into it, my mother just died, and my sister was drifting. And I used the board games to bring her back, to us, to an extent. Yeah.
People just don't realize how much of a powerful tool this is, and they are. The painting, the games. People that are lost, they need something, and and people taking the time to, it's not so much the game as much as it is the interaction a lot of times, and how you build that interaction, and it brings people out of themselves. It makes them forget their lives, maybe just for that hour or hour and a half, and they go, oh my God, for that hour and a half, I was happy, no matter what's going on. And it's a powerful tool.
Yeah, it is. All right, so now I got a couple questions for my benefit. Game storage. I'm running no issues with that. I bought my wife a big ass TV, and the stand we have isn't big enough to hold it. Like the stands are on the sides of the TV instead of in the middle. So I'm going to build a new cabinet for that, and then shelving for the board games. Then I'm going to just take up this one wall, I think. So, what do you do for storage?
It's a lot of metal racks down at Lowe's. A lot of metal racks. And just really choosing weight differential, knowing with the lighter games to pile up higher, the heavier games to, put on the other shelves. And pretty much I just keep adding shelves. This table that I'm actually talking on, underneath, there's all storage for that. I've just taken and I've racked it to a point where it's almost like grocery aisles, where you can go up and down aisles and do it that way. My wife, bless her soul, decided to give me the 2-car garage. So we had it all insulated, and we built a studio out here, and now I've got all the room that I can possibly need, but it's filling up pretty quick because I don't buy one game, I buy 5 games.
Yeah,
and it's just a matter, and it's it's getting to the point where where the kids in the aisle play something and they'll look at me and they'll go, no. I go, okay, well, we'll give it to, a lot of times we'll give it to the children's hospital, we'll donate it to those type of places. Somebody will get a use out of it. But, unless it really fits in, which 99% of the stuff fits in, there's just a couple times where they give you that look and they go, do we have to play this again? I go, no, you don't.
All right. Yeah, I didn't think about the metal.
They hold up real well.
Yeah, that's the problem. These ones behind me, they're cheap Walmart particle board, and they're starting to bow and bend and all that. I never thought of the metal. I don't know if she'd go with that aesthetically. She's kind of picky with that.
Well, this is an old one, but they have different kinds of colors and stuff like that. But they're perfect. They hold up very, very well.
Yeah, I have to think about that. Like, I'm turning my garage into a wood shop. Slowly doing that now, and one of the first things I'm going to build is a table. But I was thinking about putting it on like a pedestal with storage underneath, and then, like I said, build the shelves and all that. That'll probably like plywood or something stronger than this particle board. But I'll have to think about the metal. I don't, like I said, she's funny with the cosmetics.
Yeah, we had gotten hermit crabs once, okay, and I love those things to no end because I found them very fascinating, and especially down here, you can really keep them in an environment. She looked at me and she goes, I'm not keeping them unless you get something really nice to put them in. So I had somebody build this beautiful antique kind of cabinet glass thing that went over the tank, and you would open it, and it had like a roof to it.
Okay.
And you would open it up, and that's how you would take care of the crabs. But when you closed it, it looked like it was some kind of, antique. And she goes, that's acceptable. Everything has to be blinged out here. As I call her, the Queen Princess.
So the second question, you kind of hit on it with giving games away. You have probably about 30 games now I'm looking to get rid of. And I will give them to people, but some of them, I think they're like too much for the level of gaming they're on. What would you do with them, those type of games? Do you sell them or trade them?
No, I'll always find, like I said, I try to find people that can't afford things, or maybe are having tough times, and that have a love for games and want something, and I'll give it to them. I really will. I really don't. It's never about selling anything. I don't think I've ever sold anything. I've given and really tried to just help people. I mean, that's what it's all about for me, really. It's about the people.
So how do you go about finding them? Do you just put a Geek
Yeah.
post on Geek or something? Okay.
Oh, it's either on Geek or the guys down at Cool Stuff. There's people that come down with their kids and stuff like that. And, you know, they'll tell me a little bit about them because, you know, people tend to open up while playing games and stuff like that, and they'll bring something up to me, and I go, well, I could take care of that, or I could do that. And, you know, it's many different facets. For instance, there was a kid that I knew his father, and he couldn't afford. He wanted to get into the tournaments of X-Wing, and I had a ton of X-Wing stuff, and he just couldn't afford, you know, some of the stuff to be competitive. And I said, geez, we're not playing with it. Here, take it. You know, it's that kind of stuff. You know, take it. You know, this, I know that somebody will enjoy it. You know, it's kind of funny. I would tell you the story, but it would take too long, probably.
Yeah, it's your dime, like I said.
Yeah. I had gone this year's Dice Tower Con. I had gone, and of course, you know, everybody's after Tom's table because that's where he gives, you know, basically has wholesale to get rid of all the games that he's not going to keep in his collection.
Right.
So the flea market opens up, and everybody goes flying in. And of course, I'm just walking in, and I see this little old man there, and he had all this old Avalon Hill stuff. I mean, old. I'm talking Gettysburg. Battle of the Bulge. I got some of it still here, believe it or not. And I go, wow, you know, this is some really interesting stuff. He had the first edition of Dungeon Quest, the very first one. You know, the Games Workshop box set.
Right.
So he's got all the stuff there, and you know, people are passing by because it's not the newest thing. You know, nobody's interested in it. So I start talking to him. I go, boy, I remember when I had that. And I go, I got a couple of those. He goes, you know, I'm an old man. And he goes, most of my friends are gone, and you know, I have no place to play anymore. And to be honest with you, you know, I think he was 80 something. He goes, I just wanted to go to a good home. I wanted to go to a good home. And of course, that tugged right at the old heartstrings. I said, okay, give that all to me. So I got this giant card. Paid him whatever he wanted for it, and I piled it up. Brought it home, and I can see the steam coming out of my beautiful blonde wife. She was turning brunette, actually. but I go, no, you don't understand. So I tell her the story, and she just looks at me and I go, mm-hmm. And it's funny because it became like a pass it forward thing. There was somebody that wanted to start teaching his son how to play, you know, the chit games. So I said, listen, I tell him the story, how I got the games. You have to take care of this because this meant something to this man, and he wants it to go to a good home. And I believe that you'll give it a good home. Gave some there. There was another girl out in Washington who shouldn't have lived past six years old. And her and her father loved playing the Dungeon Quest. Now, as much as I didn't want to let that go, it's just something that tugged at my heart. And I said, you know something? You know, I think this would be a good place for you. You shouldn't even be here, but do me a favor, take care of this. And, you know, I know this will be in your family because it means something. And now it means something that I give it to you because I know you're going to take care of it because it means something to you. That's the kind of stuff that I try to do. And that's how a lot of the games go, you know, where I clear out room. You know, this means something. Every time I got something, well, or maybe me and the kids played this and now we're beyond this. You know, it used to mean something to us. Here, you know, here's your chance to, you know, to make memories with it, you know, and then you pass it forward. So there you go.
Yeah, I'd look at it a board game list. I have a hard time with Jen. Jen has games that are older than I am. You know, it's games she had as a kid here still. You know, like she's got Clue with the rope that was actually hemp or whatever rope they used, and stuff like that.
Wow.
You know,
That is old.
yeah, and
Older
so
than me.
yeah, I don't know where she got. She's 5 years older than I am. I don't know where she got it, but it might have been her mother's or whatever. But she has separation issues with that type of thing, where I don't. It's, you know, if it sits on a shelf for 6 months, we're not touching it. Yeah, get rid of it.
There's a lot, you know. There's a lot of things I just can't give up, and you know, the other sad thing is I got a lot of stuff in shrink wrap yet because we just haven't got it. It's almost like I got to make sure I have it so when we do want to go to it, it's there, and I could just go, okay, yeah, let's try this finally.
Yeah,
but, you know,
I try not to do that. I
it's
went to
hard.
PBG Con and I spent way more money than I should have on games, and I'm still catching up to what I bought there. But usually, I only have maybe 4 or 5 in shrink wrap sitting around. It's usually not a lot. You know, I usually try to keep up with it.
And a lot of times I won't touch it until I paint it because I always have to have this big production for the kids. Oh, look, you know, nice mini, all painted up and ready to go. Like I'm doing Arcadia Quest now, so they're all excited about playing that. And, you know, it took a year to get to it.
Yeah, I haven't really. I started recently painting some stuff. I have in the past, like Mice and Mystics and Mansions of Madness. I did all them.
Yeah, that one my daughter's been killing me to get to. You know, it's the thing I've got to get away from is I'm finally getting to the point where I'm done with a lot of the charity stuff, and I'm going to take a little bit of breather and try to catch up with my stuff. I painted for charity. I painted 17, I think, Forbidden Stars, and I haven't even painted mine and played it yet.
Really? Wow. It's a lot of written spores.
Yeah. But, you know, hey, you know, it's done a lot of good. It's raised a lot of money for a lot of different charities. And, you know, like I said, sometimes you got to be Jerry Lewis to get things done.
Yeah.
You got to beg and plead. But, you know, it's you know, at the end of the day, you know, I hope my legacy at least is, you know, I made a difference in somebody's life or something. Well, I mean, what more can you ask for in life?
Yeah. All right, so let's shut this down soon. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how could they do that?
You can find me at my channel, YouTube, and it's just Robert Oren. You can get a hold of me at my email address, novaprime860@hotmail.com. You know, and I'm easy to find. Those are the 2 assets I use. My YouTube channel and my email.
Okay.
And I think that's it. Yeah. Google Plus. I'm on Google Plus too. I'm still trying to figure out how to use that.
Yeah, I gave up on that. It's
really confusing.
Even the Twitter. I have a Twitter account on it. I don't use it that much. I have a hard time following Twitter. You know, you can't express yourself in a sentence. You know,
I wouldn't even know how to tweet, you know, whatever it is. I don't even have a Facebook, but, you know, I just keep it to these 2, and it seems to be going pretty good. I'm getting out there, and you know, of course, they can find a lot of my stuff on the Dice Tower as well. Okay. I'm always doing content out there.
All right, so last question. If somebody came up to you on the street just getting into the hobby, what advice would you give them?
I would tell them to find something that really getting into the hobby? Painting or board games?
Either one. I guess painting.
Okay,
Since you're
all right. Painting. I would say if you want to get into it, start small, but see how much you love it, and just take your time with it and find your match for it. Find your center and just let the brush do all the work and see if it's something you like. Then learn how to do it. But just see if it's something that relaxes you and something that brings you enjoyment. Don't worry about how it looks. Did you enjoy doing it? That, I think, is the most important thing. Never worry about what things look like. Did you enjoy your time doing this? Do you feel that you can do better? Do you want to learn how to do better? Is it something that you enjoy? Well, those are the questions that you have to ask when you first get into something like that. Never worry about, oh my God, I stink at this. It's, did you enjoy it? And that goes with board gaming too. That's the best thing, is it's, don't worry about winning games and losing games. Enjoy the games. Did you enjoy the experience? And I think that's the best advice I can give anybody.
It's pretty good advice. All right, so for everybody watching now or in the future, thanks for watching. Check out Robert's YouTube page there. And I never know how to end these things, you know. I guess good night. You know.
I always have a tough time ending because I never stop talking. Hey, listen, thank you so much for taking the time and doing this, and it's been a real pleasure getting to talk with you and getting to know you a bit too, off the air. So I hope you stay in touch.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. All right, folks.
So,
good night. Oh, good.
Good night, Barry.